Hello everyone, my name is Mystery Dog and welcome back to another video on trading halls. Today I have for you the new most compact trading hall with built-in zombie conversion. So here we have my zombie with the sharpness 5 diamond sword, and if I input my villager into the system, more on this input system later, I can show that yeah, he just runs across into his slot to prove it's untitled here. And if I turn on pathfinding, which is here, you can see that they can't actually pathfind over this direction, so they can only pick up the workstation that's in front of them. So to convert the zombie in this system, what you do is in survival, you drag the zombie because he follows you. You bring him over to the villager that you wish to convert, flip the lever, and then open the back trapdoor, close the front trapdoor, and then after a few seconds the zombie will be converted and you can go on with your life. So, and then you just throw a weakness potion at him and then give him a golden apple. Although for zombie conversion, I would definitely make sure you are on hard difficulty, so that way there's a 100% chance that the zombie converts into a zombie villager rather than just dying. Now in other designs with the zombie here, that like in this specific spot, there's the issue where the zombie can get stuck over bigger trading halls and just like he'll keep trying to pathfind here instead of over to here where you want him to go. So that's why I added this trapdoor with the lever that makes it so he can only think he can pathfind through to the player where the trapdoor is extended, so that way he can actually properly kill a villager, and also so that he doesn't get stuck. This trapdoor here serves multiple purposes. It supports the carpet when it gets pulled back when the villager gets killed. It stops the zombie from getting pulled through when the carpet is pushed back, and also it helps the zombie pathfind to the villager when it can see the villager, like so. Now you have to close the front trap door because when the zombie is looking at any other mob besides a villager, it needs line of sight to continue aggroing to it, or else and when you close that off, it will just the zombie will lose the aggro, and then since he can now see the villager, he will attack the villager. If the zombie does manage to see the villager, and you don't want him to, and you don't want the zombie to convert the villager, you will have to unload the chunks and come back for the zombie to get unstuck. Although that isn't that big of a problem, you just have to make sure you don't click that back trap door. Although this was a pretty big issue with my other design with the drowned. If the drowned saw the player at all, which happened pretty often, then the drowned would get stuck on the player until you unloaded the chunks and came back. I fixed it by adding a trap door here, which you would close in front of the villager, but still it was an annoying issue. So that is one of the flaws with my old drowned based system. And also this one is just much more compact than the other one. The way you kill the villager in this system, you can just punch it with an axe. You should not use a sword, because then with the sweeping effect you can accidentally damage the villagers to either side, and then they will have less health, and then also they will give you a price increase. So the way you kill it is you put out the trap door, flip open the trap door, close it, close the lever, and the way this works is you do this. I added a glass pane under the zombie. You have to use a glass pane or a cobble wall or a fence, but the cobble wall and fence brings the zombie up too high, so it actually has to be a glass pane. When you flip open the trapdoor, the glass actually connects to the trapdoor, and that allows the observer to bring a signal up to the piston, and then you can just do this. Although one thing you have to make sure of is that you don't flip it too fast, or else then the observer will be on cooldown when the trapdoor closes again. So you just have to be careful of that. And also, make sure the trapdoor is actually closed when you bring it back. That's why there's fences here, so you can easily fix that if that's an issue. For this spot here, you have to use either fences or cobblestone walls. I just used a fence here in this case, just so in case you have to fix that, because if it's like this, then the next time you go to convert, the villager will just fall down, which can be annoying. I normally would recommend having a cobblestone wall here, though, since here there's a bigger chance of an item falling down through the gap. Although when you're breaking the workstation, instead of dropping it, the workstation will more likely go into the player's inventory. So I'm going to move up to the input section. See, there's a string connected to this observer, and since the villager is on a carpet, he is just inside the string, so it can detect it. And then I just send the signal up and around to this red piston, dropping this redstone block. This bell input system was an idea by Captain Wutax. I just managed to compact the redstone a bit. So basically, when a bell is rung, a villager will search for a bed up to 48 blocks away, or specifically the pillow of the bed, and it doesn't matter if the villager can even pathfind to it, he will try and run towards the pillow of the bed. Now, this sounds like an issue if you have a trading hall for longer than 48 blocks, but I will show later a solution for this, but it's not that great. There is still an advantage to using the water-based system, and that is if the chunks are unloaded while the villager is running across, then he will get stuck because his AI will be reset and he will forget that he was scared by the bell. So that is one issue with this design. Now, before I actually get into the modular-ish section of the trading hall, I'm going to show off some other designs here. This here is Captain Wutax's original trading hall design with the double carpet spam, the annoying string in his head. It's not that bad, but because you can just click the upper half, but I'm personally not that big of a fan of it. The main issue with this system is that the input does not work for very far if you're using a pillager, and if you're not using a pillager, it really only works during the day. Here I compacted it a bit, so my improved version of Captain Wutax's original design. I did a double carpet with a cobblestone wall under the workstation. This is basically just a more compact version of what I did in my drowned version, so you actually don't need to have a carpet in front and underneath if you have a cobblestone wall here. And I also added the improved input system with the bell to so that it works over much longer distances. Here is Sauce Jam's design. You can see all of these are color coded, like Captain Wutax's are gray, light gray, Sauce Jam's is blue. So the villager sits here with the no annoying string. One issue, and then I believe he used a pathfinding input in his video. One issue here is that this uses a workstation, and this can slow down the time it takes for a villager to pick up their workstation. Because the villager makes a list of all POIs in a 48 block radius around the villager, and the more POIs in that area, or specifically workstations in this case, the longer it will take for him to pick up the one in front of him. It doesn't even matter if he can pathfind around or not. Another issue with this design is that if you have other villagers around here, then the villager, like if you're doing the break and replace thing, then the villager can pick the incorrect workstation. So that's not great. Another thing is that these zombie can take a very long time to actually find the villager. As it's this far down, and if you have tons stacked next to each other, it can take a while for the zombie to actually get to the villager. Now, over here, I made an improved version of my original drown design. Here I just did a better version of the bell input. The only thing here is the reason I wired it like this is because spacing, but here I just had a bit of room, so I did this with an item in the dropper. Here's the turtle leg. This would be where the drown with the trident is. Now I switched this carpet out with a cobblestone wall to reduce lag, actually. Since the villager can no longer pathfind around these observers, it's slightly less lag. Also, I switched this out with a cobblestone wall, so these two blocks can be closer, so I removed one block like that. I also used the bell input system here, since it is technically more compact vertically, because you don't need the gap, the one block above for the extension system. So now I'm gonna talk about the modular-ish thing. So this here is the base of the trading hall, and this is technically all you need for a working trading hall. This is one wide tileable 3x3. It has a manual input and a killing system, no zombie conversion, but early game this is all you need, and you can add on to this easily. So one thing I forgot to talk about earlier, in my original drown design I had the fence gate like this with the carpet on top. With this system I'd actually recommend having it the fence gate this direction, so that way the cobblestone wall actually connects to the fence gate on this direction, so there's a less likely chance that the POI will fall down into here. Now, the next version, I added a zombie conversion by here adding this trapdoor, which is actually very important. It won't really work without it. Adding this trapdoor, and so it works the same as in that system. Do this, do that, and the zombie will attack the villager. Actually, also, one thing I forgot to say, make sure you have solid blocks over both the villager cells and where the zombie is, just because that way they won't burn in the sunlight. Over here, that's covered by these slabs and also these blocks here, but if you're doing this simple system, then yeah. Here, it's the same thing, but I also added the compact killing mechanism with flipping open the trapdoor and closing it. That guy just pathfind off. That normally wouldn't be an issue, but yeah, this is easy to add. Also, this system here is actually has the same functionality as the previous one I showed. It's just one block wider and one block taller, because I added this little section of blocks, which basically I just wanted to give people the option of, instead of having to break the POI, open the trapdoor, close it, bring it back, I wanted to give people the option of having an extra block just to kill a villager like so, which can be better for some people. One thing I just realized I forgot to mention earlier, with this it has to be a transparent block, like glass, a slab, a stair. I would recommend using something with a solid face, not necessarily a slab, just because with a slab this wouldn't connect to here, so you can also use a stair facing this direction, because with a slab this wouldn't be here, so the POI has a larger chance of falling down through the gap. But for demonstration purposes I'm just going to use a glass block, but if you don't want to show redstone, there's always that option. In this design, it's the same as before, as that one way down there, the green one. It has this killing mechanism with the zombie conversion, but instead I'm showing how you can use the water-based input, just in case you would rather have a more reliable circuit. I'm not actually going to do a proper tutorial for this, just because I do not think it's necessary. Now I'm going to show you how to use the bell system for long distances, and if you want to see how to properly set up the water-based input, then you can check out my drowned call-based video I did a while back. And if you do want to use that design and you haven't built it yet already, you can just stop and take a look at this, because I would definitely recommend using this version, because it's technically less laggy and more compact, and you can just switch out the input system for the water-based version that's I show over here and also in that original video. Okay, so here I am in my testing area where I've been doing all my villager stuff. And so now if you just see this, it's a super long trading hall with the bell input system, just so I can show it off. And here I have a system with string, observer, block, sticky piston, glass, and a bell, and it doesn't actually add to the original footprint size. And this is longer than 48 blocks, so you would think it doesn't work, but it actually does. Okay, I set it so that this is all closed off. So if I just input a villager into here, and this also shows that you can just use a water-based input, you can see that the villager will actually keep going down. I just making sure he can't actually start walking backwards. And also the bell keeps him moving forwards. I have actually never had this system break. It's just that he occasionally walks back and forth, and also the longer it is, the bigger the chance it'll break if you unload it, because that just means the longer it takes for the villager to actually get to the his cell. He's almost there. He just walks back and forth occasionally, but the bell triggers just often enough for him to actually not lose his scared. One thing I didn't mention is that if you're on single player or you're on multiplayer and you're not actually playing with other people, like in a personal base, you really don't actually need zombification built into your hall. I would recommend using a system like this where you decide the villagers' trades beforehand, and then when you finish that, you automatically just send them into a system like this, which I will do a video on at a later point, which basically automatically converts the villager into a zombie villager, drops down into a curing system of your choice, and then automatically resets the system. So I will show this in a video on zombie villager mob switches in the semi-near future. Okay, so here we have a mirrored thing. So if you're going to mirror it and you have the zombification in here, you have to have like a little raised section, so that way the zombie cannot see the villagers on this side that are in this side of the hall. And then they will get stuck trying to attack that villager until you unload the chunks, and then they'll just get stuck again. So you do need this raised section in the middle. It's not great, but you can label it here. He's a big boy. And this, so you can still sort of see it, but it's not that great. So, and it's compact enough that you can probably fit all the villagers you need in one end and then have something more useful on the other. But if you do want to mirror it on either side, then you can just do this. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, feel free to like and subscribe. If you don't want to, that's perfectly fine. Feel free to leave constructive criticism so I can improve my videos in the future. And also, if you have any ideas of what you want me to work on, that's always helpful. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.